你八卦佬，你根本就係冇常識啊！
Specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
What is up, nerds? It's me, your buddy, your pal, HeyArcher. Welcome back to my channel. As always, my mic's at the wrong height, but that's quite all right. If you're new here, welcome. Here on HeyArcher Live, this is your show as much as it is my show. So you definitely want to interact in the comment section to determine where it goes. But today we actually do have a guest on the show. So we'll talk a little bit about the UFC later on. But we also want to watch a trailer reaction today. We're going to be watching the trailer to Halloween Kills. So let's see how that looks. But of course, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Aaron in the house. Aaron, who is doing a live show tomorrow. So make sure that you subscribe to his channel. He's on the road to 300. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell on his channel, and that way when he goes live, we can watch that together. And actually, Aaron, in the chat, why don't you put what time you're going live so we all make sure to show up to that. And then we also have some Quarantine in the house, Joanna in the house. Good to see you. Big Rhino Dog in the house. Good to see you. And yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. Hope that all of you are doing well, of course. And hopefully you guys are all sitting back, enjoying a drink. Today I am on wine out of my HeyArcher mug, which you can find on HeyArcher.com. I have no shame anymore in plugging my own stuff. And of course, Jules in the house. Good to see you. All right. So we're going to just roll. We're just going to roll right into it. We have our special guest in the house. Let me do a camera switch. I have to figure out a better way to lay this all out because I got to like reach over stuff every time I do this. So in the house today, we have Lenny. Lenny, you are now on HeyArcher Live. How art thou?
Doing great, man. What's up, everybody?
Let's see.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. It's funny. I was this week when I was doing my HeyArcher podcast, I talked briefly about UFC, and I was like, why did I not tell you in advance or ask you in advance for us to talk about this? Because I feel like this is one of those rare occurrences where it's actually a fight that we care about, and I think people care about, and it wasn't one before. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a fan, so I guess I was going to be interested either way, but I can tell you I'm far more excited now.
Yeah. Oh wait, so you were down for it before when it was Usman and Edwards?
Burns. It was Burns.
Burns, right? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, it was going to be a good fight. They were training partners. That's kind of cool. See where that kind of plays out there. And he looked really good against Woodley. Woodley is kind of past it, I guess now. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, I was interested. But that's like, do I sound that excited? I guess I wasn't that excited, but I'm definitely pumped now. Yes,
that's for sure. By the way, welcome to everybody in the chat. We've had a lot of people jump on in. So we have Paximus Paximus Enterprises. Good to see you. Oh, I got to move this over now since I have the thing open up. You know, we'll just we'll cheer that thing out there. Got Paximus in the house. Again, Jules in the house. Jules says hello to you, Lenny.
What up?
We got Grind Legacy in the house. Mr. Dwight. Got Barry in the house. Good to see you. And then Aaron, of course. Oh, go ahead.
I will say, as a weekly viewer, I've been on the HeyArchers, but it's good to be switching over to the live stuff. I like it.
The only thing I hate is that because of how Ecamm works, I can't like show you the chat like as I'm reading it. So you kind of have to have the chat open on your own.
So I'm living in this weird like VIP world right now where I have the chat up next to me and I'm like watching the video there, but I'm also checking you out from my screen here. So I think I have an exclusive here.
You're like in the future. You're seeing everything in the future. So yeah, everybody. Lenny and I used to talk UFC like all the time, and I have fallen out of UFC. So whenever UFC is mentioned on this channel, I feel like it's only right I bring Lenny in, because Lenny is more, I'd say you pay attention more, even though you may not watch more than I do at this point. I feel like we both kind of watch sporadically, but I know that you're more on the news probably than I am. Does that sound accurate?
I think quarantine has rejuvenated my love for MMA a little bit.
Really?
And maybe it's lack of options now, but I've been watching. I'm not like just watching the fights now. I feel like I'm going back to watching old stuff again, and kind of I almost got tempted back into a UFC Fight Pass subscription, but I they couldn't get the $10 from me.
Boo! Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck!
Wait, did you actually hear that sound effect?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that worked. All right, awesome.
Yeah, it was very appropriate.
Yeah.
They almost had it. If they did like the WWE first month free thing, I would have just thrown an email address on there and done that to just kind of, hit the spot for me. But yeah, I've been going back a lot more. I've been watching a lot of like Forrest Griffin fights, things like that I used to watch when I really like was into the sport and the stuff that got me into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been a little bit more involved, but I would definitely agree that neither one of us are like as in tune as we were, 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think a lot of times for me now, it's more of just, I have like this like blood vendetta against Dana White for some reason. And I think that's
so
more.
I actually wanted to talk to you about Dana White.
All right, let's go for it.
I wanted to know, because we talked about him, I think, on the last HeyArcher, and we both kind of agree that he's a douchebag now. But
yeah.
Do you think he's coming out of this quarantine looking a little better right now? I feel like he might be kind of turning babyface a little bit in the general public's stance.
Really?
I mean, okay, I'm a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah.
So I'm currently following the clown show that didn't start actually doing tests till like a week ago.
They weren't doing tests this whole time?
No, dude, they were doing like, okay, I have to test at work where I walk in and they put the little like gun up to my head.
Oh, the temperature test.
What my temperature is, right? They were doing that. And then like I don't know, you were just bringing people in, like old people for no reason. And you just finally start testing. And I think I heard the number was 30 positives in the first wave of tests.
Wait, for UFC?
No,
I mean, sorry, WWE?
WWE. Yeah, WWE 30 positive tests. Well,
you know what? Let's hang on real quick for Mr. Vince McMahon, who made it. He made it so far without anybody knowing that he had COVID running rampant through the WWE.
I mean, dude, nobody has said a word because, like, Roman Reigns, that dude bounced like the week of WrestleMania, and nobody was like, "Hey, like, what's that all about over there?" But it's just like wrestling; it's its own little world. But yeah, like the spin zone is they've done like 2,500 tests, so 30 positive. I don't know, like, is that bad? I'd say so, but not that bad.
Well, I was gonna say, Jonathan, the travel tourist, was asking, what is he missing? Hopefully, nothing nerdy. So you are in luck. We are not right now being super nerdy about traditional nerdy things. We're actually talking, I guess we can call it sports entertainment. We were talking about the UFC, but now we're talking to WWE. Oh, wait, hang on. Rob here says, I was expecting to be talking about 80s cartoons for an hour, but that's just me. Is that what?
Oh.
I mean, that's a
bringing the heat.
Bringing the heat on me. Sorry. I'm sorry, Rob. But that is pretty. So to answer the question before we continue on, I don't think Dana White looks like a babyface. I think it's just beyond the time where people even care. Like maybe if I was like in the circle of like sports owners, like if I was like the manager of like the New York Giants or something, and I was like, yeah, Dana White's a hero because he showed you can do this. But for like mainstream people, like the average Joe, like I don't think anybody notices anymore. I don't think anybody cares. So I'm on that camp. He's done nothing for me.
I think that he has handled like the testing and everything and like the show that he's putting on about as well as anybody has. And better than I think you're going to see. I mean, you see the stuff about the NBA this week with the food amenities that they were getting.
Yeah.
And it's like plain food.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a pretty good job. I saw like the first Embedded, and it had them on the plane from going to Abu Dhabi, and it just looked incredible. Like I want to go on a plane like that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Awesome. So just going back to the chat real quick, Matt said, "What up?" Matt was saying that Rob was coming in hot, and Rob was coming in hot.
We think very similar.
We can talk 80s cartoons actually, and that's and actually I just noticed so many of you have come in since I started the show. So again, welcome to HeyArcher Live. What's great about HeyArcher Live is there's always an agenda to the show, but it's the comment section that actually does transform the conversation. So we were gonna hit on the UFC real quick, but I have no issue actually jumping into 80s cartoon stuff if you want as well. We're also going to watch the Halloween Kills teaser trailer at a certain point. So if you want a conversation about 80s cartoons, you're going to have to start the conversation off in the chat and let me know what I should be talking about, because I'm down. Lenny and I both know a lot about cartoons for some odd reason, because we just know a lot about a lot of things. That's the only way I can describe it, Lenny.
I'm totally ready to embarrass myself on my lack of 80s cartoons specifically knowledge. So.
I do forget that you're younger than I am.
Yeah, so like I'd say like if you want to talk to me about some 90s cartoons, like I could get into that. Early 2000s cartoons.
Yeah.
I'm watching Yu-Gi-Oh right now. That's the one I'm kind of playing around with a little bit.
I swear to God, there must be subliminal messages in like the cellular towers or something. Because like you're on Yu-Gi-Oh right now, Aaron's on some Pokemon kick for whatever reason randomly. So I'm like, there's got to be something going on where like people are now like, oh, let's watch card-based game TV shows. Like, I don't know what that's about.
I think we all need a little bit of nostalgia in our life. So like you go through waves of what it is. I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh is the one I went to right now. Pokemon, I loved when I was younger. Can't get into it as much now. But Yu-Gi-Oh gets me. I'm watching a season I don't think I've ever seen, season 3.
Of Yu-Gi-Oh?
I recently bought the movie, the newest movie. Yeah. So. Yeah.
What app did you use? What app did?
So I use Voodoo. I know you had talked about Movies Anywhere, and like I use that, but they're giving me a hard time right now about my password. So kind of boycotting them a little bit.
Jonathan asked if I could change my stream to automatically start with the link. I sat waiting for 8 minutes. I don't know. I thought it's weird because sometimes it does start automatically. When I was watching Pat Flynn's stream this morning, it started on my TV automatically, but like started with a commercial, and I pay for YouTube Premium, which doesn't have commercials. So I like had to exit and go back in, and then it was just there. So YouTube is a bit funny with that. Aaron, what is the app that you use, Aaron? Can you put that in the comments? I want to see if that's one that Lenny has tried before. But Aaron does say, Lenny, that he's thinking about getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! So you guys can, if you want, you guys can host a show where you talk just about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I will continue to brush up
on the Yu-Gi-Oh!
I have my deck. I'll try and find that. Maybe I still have it laying around somewhere.
By the way, everybody, if you have just walked in to the show, make sure to hit the thumbs up and share it with a friend. Actually, I've never mentioned that for some odd reason. Yeah, if you're enjoying HeyArcher Live or any of the other shows, feel free to share that and continue chatting in the comments, because I like sharing them with the audience who's listening. So I guess real quick, just so we can cross this part off, because we're already like 15 minutes in, which time flies. And we're going to go for about 45 minutes to an hour for everybody listening. On the Usman versus Masvidal front, do you have a pick at the moment? And if you do, why?
It's one of those. It's always like you pick with your heart or pick with your head. I'd say I am pulling for Masvidal. I think everybody probably is. Mm-hmm. But I think I would probably lean Usman he's a 3-1 favorite. That's probably good odds. The good thing is Masvidal's not coming off the couch. He's going to be ready. Yeah. I watched 2 fights today. I watched Usman versus Colby, which is an awesome fight. But there's some things that leave me a little concerned, and then there's ways that I think Masvidal can easily win this one. First of all, I think Usman's going to want to try and prove something. And if he comes out thinking he's going to strike because he had a really good matchup against Colby and he was able to go with him, that's going to get a little dangerous for him. I think he's a proud guy, and there's a little bit of heat here. So if he comes out and decides to go that route, it's going to be a short night.
I was wondering if he didn't. I was wondering if he didn't go for the shoot because of injuries. Like I know that he was saying it like the kind of the John Jones thing, like he wanted to stand up with Kobe or whatever. But after he was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about how shitty his knees were, I wasn't sure if he didn't shoot because of the injuries, and it just happened to work out where he outstruck Kobe. I thought about that.
I mean, you're probably right. The other thing is, there's a long history of wrestlers turning into strikers. Like, these guys, once they get in there and they start tasting the power and like striking, and wrestling's tired. So once they can control the pace and feel confident there, they're going to go out and think they're going to want to strike. He also might want to test himself. And Masvidal is just not the guy to do it against.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to Masvidal can stifle the wrestling in two ways to me. He's either going to get taken down a lot and have to stand up, and he'll come on strong in the last few rounds. Or the other thing I noticed that he's been doing really, really well is he's ferocious. This guy, like, the punches he's throwing, the kicks, the ferocity behind the kicks, like, they're so hard. But when he gets into the clinch, he can work in tight better than a lot of guys. And so it depends where Usman wants to take him down. I think if he takes him down in the middle of the cage, it's going to be good for him. But I'm pretty sure they're fighting in a small cage. So it's going to lend to a lot more clinch work on the cage, which means Masvidal could possibly do some good work there too.
Yeah.
But the size difference, control on top, Usman might win a boring decision. It's going to be bad for his career if he does. He's got to come out here and really put it on Masvidal to like take that next step. There's more pressure on him. I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I definitely agree with that. Jonathan says Usman because he's a beast, although he does like Masvidal. So yeah, I think that's a very popular consensus on this fight.
That Colby fight, it's stand up the whole time, right? And there's just a lot of moments in there where Usman's just not moving his head. He's in there just like throwing nice looking strikes, but there's not a lot of head movement on him. When the fight gets longer in the tooth, things slow down a bit for him because Colby's getting tired and he started being able to step back on some stuff. But Masvidal's best strikes to me aren't his first strike; it's his second and his third. So if you look at like the way he knocked out Till, he was able to. It was like he threw a punch that misses and then he hits him with I think a left hook. Diaz, like a lot of his best work was coming off the second and third and through the blitz. So I could see if he gets Masvidal, if he gets Usman to stand still a little bit and freeze up on the first punch, he could hit him pretty hard on that.
Yeah. I think for the feel good out of nowhere, I'm going to go Masvidal on this, but I have no issue with Usman winning that one.
The world is a better place if Jorge Masvidal goes out there and baptizes, as he says, Kamaru Usman. I have to feel that way. There's not enough like good stories like that. I think Conor had that feel to him, and Masvidal's an even better story. It's similar to that Diaz thing where you put in like 20 years of like work. He's going to have the most fights, I think, to ever like going into a title fight, the most fights of any person ever.
Yeah.
Which is like, so just saying like that's how far into his career, I think like 47 fights that he's had. And that's not to mention backyards and everything.
Yeah.
Real quick, do you see any of the UFC 4 stuff?
No. The game?
The video game? Yeah. So I guess I saw a screenshot from it. Cover is Masvidal and Adesanya.
That part I saw.
But there's stills that leaked that are backyard fighting. Like it's
get out of
like
here.
You fighting in like the streets of Florida.
So it's gonna be like NBA Street or
well, what was it? Def Jam Vendetta? Do you remember that game?
Such a good game.
Right. So it's kind of that idea.
That'd be sick.
I thought that was pretty badass when I started. I was like, this is kind of weird that it's supposed to be like MMA is supposed to stay within the realism world.
Yeah.
And wrestling's supposed to do its own little thing over here, but that feels a little bit more on that side. But it's cool. I like it.
So Dwight says that you sound like you should be doing this for a living. It's funny because I kind of agree with that.
Thank you. It's in the works. It's a work in progress, I would say, is the best way I can do.
There you go. Going back up to, there was some Yu-Gi-Oh comments that came in. Matt says, original Yu-Gi-Oh only, get that extra shit out of here.
Come on, dude. I know you were going to feel that way. You got to give it a chance, man. And some of that is subjecting yourself to torture. Like, not all nostalgia is good nostalgia either. So because you watch something doesn't always mean it's going to be Great, but I can set myself through some torture. We've talked about Power Rangers a million times, Steve, and like, there's no torture like a Power Rangers torture.
That's true. Martin, good to see you. And yeah, catch the replay, and I'll see you on the live stream tomorrow. I was talking about Power Rangers actually yesterday, or sorry, 2 days ago, because somebody was commenting on the stuff I got in the background, and they didn't recognize the gold staff, the Zeo staff.
Yep.
And they were like, "Oh, is that like maybe the Red Ranger or the Black Rangers?" And I was like, "Actually, the person who wields that was the former Red Ranger, and his costume is black and all gold. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of boring Power Rangers, we can definitely do that." They declined my offer to go down the offer because there's that it hits that nostalgia thing where you're just like, you're watching it, and you're just like, I rather live in the memory of it as opposed to re-enter reality.
Some things are better to talk about, than to watch necessarily. I was thinking, I was like, dude, how much time do we spend in our lives talking about Power Rangers? If we added it up, it's probably really sad.
And it's like that with all the old shows. See, so we kind of, Rob, we're rolling into nostalgia stuff just by default here. So yeah, it's Power Rangers is one of those shows that like everybody goes crazy over it, but like none of us really watch it still. Like that niche market of people who buy this stuff and still watch it religiously is so small. Actually, today, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if you've ever been on the site. I just found it out about it a couple of days ago. It's propstore.com. And it basically, you can just go on there and shop for props from TV shows. But I'm pretty sure I saw some Power Rangers stuff on there going for like, it was from the movie too. And it was Bryan Cranston's like 3D, the CGI suit he had to wear.
Oh, no way.
And that stuff's going for like, I think it was like $10,000, $15,000, but it's selling on there. Unbelievable that there's people out there that buy them.
I just bought today. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. I just bought the Bandai Red Ranger helmet that they're releasing. Let's see if I can pull it up for everybody here.
You know, I want to see that. I got a nostalgic poster this week. I bought the poster for Three Ninjas.
Awesome. Oh, hang on. I'm just putting it. Will it go behind the Punisher helmet? That is a great question. I don't have an answer to that.
Have you thought about putting stakes behind you, and it's just like place the heads on the stake?
So, all right, I guess here the life of a nerd, for those of you in the comments or watching who are more of the nerd affiliated as opposed to full on nerd, there's a line that you have to try to walk as far as like when you have company over. And I've been trying really hard to like not cross the line on like the over exaggerated nerd stuff out. So like there was way more stuff in my living room now than there is now. I might have said now twice. There was way more stuff in my living room than there is now. But as I keep finding more cool stuff, it's like the nerd collection continues to grow. Now, I don't want to replace that helmet. That I don't want to do. So I got to figure out a way. Either the Red Ranger helmet is behind me somewhere, or because there's already enough Power Ranger stuff behind me, it goes in the cabinet that by some whatever luck is actually a Power Ranger kind of cabinet. I'm not quite sure.
I think the situation you're in right now, Steve, is a situation a lot of nerds, I'm sure, at some point have like understood. And it's, do you just have a girl come into your house and know the first day that you are a loser and still watch Power Rangers, or do you have her find out on date like 3 or 4 when you have to pull out this this big box that's just stacked full of Power Rangers memorabilia. When's the right time? Nobody knows.
Yeah, so right now we're going into nerd dating conversation, which doesn't happen very often on this channel anymore. But that's a valid real question. And those of you who are dating and consider yourself nerds, please comment in the comment section and leave a thumbs up, by the way, because there are way more people watching than thumbs up. I'd appreciate it.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. I don't know the answer because I want the answer to be you tell them in advance. That's how I normally operate. But friends and affiliates of this program in my life would say, do not tell them in advance because that just ruins your chances.
So do you put it in the bio? You're like Power Rangers enthusiast.
I should actually. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
You know what? So here's what I did in the last couple months. I took out all of my cosplay type stuff out of my profiles, but in all of them I put that I do a podcast and YouTube with HeyArcher in it. So that's at that point it's not blatant, but if you want to go and do your research, then you will see how deep in the rabbit hole you can go on the.
So you're like, hey, shameless plug. Maybe I get a viewer.
I've gotten a couple subscribers out of that.
Actually, I think you should put the costume stuff back on there because you're speaking to a very particular niche.
Yeah.
That you could get yourself into by them knowing that you're okay with playing dress up.
Yeah, that is true.
I'll play pretend whenever you want to.
Actually, we missed out on some really good comments here, so I'm going to jump back real quick. Hey, Maria, good to see you from the income stream. My favorite. Actually, so Rob actually is, where was it? Rob is actually watching Power Rangers. Oh, you wrote just kidding? Come on, Rob. I thought you actually were just watching Power Rangers. That would have been hilarious. But Jonathan wrote, oh my God, bring back Kimbo Slice for the UFC game. I wish he could be in the game. I think you would agree that probably for contract reasons he's not going to be in it. But that would be that.
I feel like he's in 3, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was still in UFC at that point.
No. UFC 3? No, he wasn't. He think he was dead when that came out.
He wasn't dead for UFC 3, no.
Really? I mean, the game's been out for 4 years. It hasn't, but he was in Bellator when that game came out.
Didn't UFC 3 come out when we were working together? That was
No.
Yeah. So
maybe it came out. Okay, maybe it came out when we were working together, but that's still 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, and he was still alive.
No, but yeah, Kimbo hasn't been in the UFC for 8 years.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, because he almost died fighting Dada 5000
in Bellator. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but then he did die. It's
two people almost died in a cage because they wanted to make some money.
But you know what? If I was EA, because EA is doing the game, right? Safe to assume.
Yeah,
right.
They're still doing it.
Yeah. So if I was EA and the UFC, I'd be like, listen, we have the rights to all these people. Blah blah blah. We need to unload the blank check. We need to pull a blank check like in the movie and go to Bellator and say, hey, listen, we're going to have a backyard version or a backyard mode in this game. What do you want for Kimbo Slice? That needs to have happened already or happen.
I don't think they would even have to do that, but if they did, I don't think that Scott Coker's not going to make a big deal about giving Kimbo Slices due. Everybody loved Kimbo Slice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. He would be considered kind of like an intimidated person, I guess, from the outside. But everybody who's ever talked about that guy talks about how awesome he was.
Oh yeah, for sure. I missed a couple.
The worst part of the UFC game is that they made Dana White a playable character, and he's really good.
And Joe Rogan's in it too.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah. TRT Rogan. Aaron says, I remember there was a Fight Club game at one point. Never played it, but it looked somewhat brutal. Do you remember that? I don't remember that game.
Fight Club?
That would be that would be Xbox One, if anything, I think.
Yeah, I kind of, I guess, remember it, but I feel like that had more of the storylines of the movie to it, maybe.
That's possible, actually.
I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, I don't doubt it. Jonathan says, I've just come to the realization that the Hardy Boys books are... Sorry, I can't read because I'm old. Shoot, I lost it. Kimbo
Not the Hardy
Slice.
Boys I was hoping for.
Oh, is that what he said?
No, you said Hardy Boys. I only know 2 of them.
That's true. Too many comments. I've lost it. If I find it, I'll come back to it. It was something about the Hardy Boys probably not being who we thought they were going to be. Anyway, I'll keep going, and I'll stumble upon it again. Again, welcome everybody. A lot of people are watching today, so welcome all who are in the show, in the chat. We were talking UFC. We fell into Kimbo Slice backyard fighting and the rights to that. But
well, it kind of comes full circle because Masvidal came from there, right?
Yes, that's accurate. So Aaron did write that have it out in front, don't hide who you are. That was his advice. And
Live to live by.
Exactly. Andrew, welcome in. He says, R.I.P. the Band-Aid. R.I.P. Because somebody else wrote R.I.P. He said, rip the Band-Aid off immediately. So, Rob says, Power Rangers didn't do it for me because I felt like it was a ripoff of Voltron. That's fair, but a lot of shows just rip off each other in general. Super Sentai, the original Japanese version of like Power Rangers, may have come out before Voltron. No, Voltron was the 70s. Power Rangers, I think, was 80s, if I remember. I don't remember, but I think I remember that. Anyway, we're already half an hour in, and we have not even talked Halloween. Wow, that's good placement by me with the picture-in-picture. That was all by accident. You'll see when it comes up on the thing. But we should watch the trailer for Halloween. It's a teaser trailer. And then we can talk about it because I believe I saw the movie with you in theaters because you're, I think, the only person I go to the movies with or did when movies were a thing.
And don't remember, but yeah, it sounds like it.
That's because you kept the movie industry alive with your membership of, what was it? What was it called again?
The membership I had was the AMC like subs pass premiere, way too complicated fucking name. It just, I pay $20 a month to go to all the movies I want to go to, basically.
There you go. All right, so we'll check out the trailer, and then we'll discuss Halloween afterwards. Let me get that queued up.
Let's get it.
But they
do that to like reaction videos for everything, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. If you're like reviewing a song from like 8 years ago, why wouldn't the person want those additional clicks that you're going to get from somebody being like, oh shit, that song was awesome, like I should check that video out?
Yeah. No, and that was my... Hang on, switch back. Did I... Oops. What did I do? Oh, I messed up. I screwed it up. Anyway, all right. We'll do this for now, and then we'll come back to that. Let me play this. I think the system audio is on, so when the trailer starts, everybody in the comments, just let me know if you can hear it. I don't think you can hear it. Hang on. I have too many things going on.
Nothing's actually happening on what I'm watching on the screen here, so.
There we go.
Beautiful.
It's okay. Oh no. No, 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 no.
We're letting it go one more time.
It's okay. Oh no. No, 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 no.
All right, so they are essentially, it's just going to pick up right where it left off, is what they're going for.
Yeah, I got a very, like, my initial thought right when I saw the trailer was like, oh shit, Halloween 2, you know, like, which this is Halloween 2, but the original Halloween 2, how it takes off like the same exact night.
Yep. Yeah.
Hopefully this one's better than that one was. I don't love that movie, but
You know, it's funny. I think Halloween 2 was the first one I saw growing up.
so Steve, if it was, what was the best scene in that movie? Because I think I know what my favorite one is.
Is that the wait? Halloween. Just to make sure. Halloween 2 is the one in the hospital. No.
Yeah. Yep.
Favorite scene in that movie. I guess I'll let you go first because I don't think I have a favorite scene.
Mine's super immature. It's the scene where there's the hot tub and the chick's in there, and he turns the water temperature up to like 1,000 in the hot tub, and I'm pretty sure she goes to get in, drops the towel, and he just grabs her from behind and shoves her face into the water, and I'm pretty sure it comes up with like her skin melting.
That was that movie? That was Halloween 2?
I'm pretty sure it's that one. I think it's that one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it's that one.
I'll go with that. I don't remember the movie that much to have a favorite part. I didn't remember that was part of that movie. Yeah.
You're not trying to remember the Rob Zombie version, are you?
I think I'm fusing it all together.
Because that's bad. That's like an awful movie. The first one's good, but the second one's really bad.
Yeah, the second one wasn't it like a unicorn or something that was like having him like.
Oh yeah, dude! Like he's just like following like his sister on a unicorn, I think, through the woods. It's like super weird. And then the death scenes, it was like instead of being scary, it was that like uber violent. Like they would like close up when he was smashing his foot through like a head. It was gross. That's not my type of horror, really. Like I'm not a gore guy.
I think that's the thing. I'm more of a gore guy, but at the same time, I like
slasher movies, but
well, because the thing is, like, I feel like I contradict myself because like the only like horror or gore movie I really like that I watch repeatedly is Devil's Rejects. Like, there's not really, I don't have like a queue of movies that are like horror based. I'm like, oh, I want to watch that like every time. You know,
who produced that again?
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, that seems like it's just his like. That's his style, I guess. The first one's brutal too, but like the second one, it feels like the death scenes just won't end.
Yeah,
which is really gross.
That's
yeah,
true.
that was just my initial thing. Was like it really made me feel like good about like the tying it in. I feel like the series, like the Halloween series, is finally in good hands because they had some bad sequels.
They did. So everybody in the comments has either not seen it or is not a fan of the idea of a sequel. I jumped back up in the comments and saw, let's see, Joanna said about, going back real quick to the dating part. My boyfriend's opening line on our first date was something along the lines, I religiously watch Jeopardy. But I feel like that's a more acceptable nerd thing to do, is like watch Jeopardy. But if, Joanna, if you can, comment, what would you have done if you went back and he had like Star Trek uniforms hanging throughout the entire place too, like that? I'd be curious to see. Aaron says the cosplay could be a heavy win. The cosplay women are a different breed. That is true.
So yeah, I said certain niche that you're talking to there, and it's not a bad one. The thing for the Jeopardy thing too, it's like, what are you going to be mad about a guy watching Jeopardy every night? It's like, oh, so you're just trying to get smart as shit? Oh, okay, like. He was just playing it maybe there. I don't even know if he was like leading you a grade there, like a ride.
Yeah. I don't, and by knowing a lot about Jeopardy, he'd also probably be good at trivia at a bar.
Alex Trebek is a cool guy too. So if you're learning like swagger tips from somebody, he's not like a bad guy to be learning it from.
So Joanna also writes, he's the king of useless knowledge. I would say, have you met Lenny? Because I think Lenny trumps most, even myself.
Yeah, because his knowledge is at least like U.S. history and stuff. But like, you could ask me what happened in season 3 of the OC, and I could tell you about it. Like, that's one is way more helpful than the other.
And she has done cosplay. All right, so now we're going into the Halloween questions. Rob says there's a new Halloween. Didn't know that. Yeah, actually, I don't think we even answered this question on here. Did you like the last Halloween movie? Because I liked it. I thought the ending. I thought the ending was BS, but I still liked it.
See, I don't necessarily agree because I think like they needed to set up for a sequel because they were never going to kill the character off.
Yeah.
That's as long as Jamie Lee Curtis was willing to do more than one, they were never going to kill the character off.
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought there's a ton of tension in the last act.
Yes.
Like the whole house scenario.
Well, don't spoil it because
like,
some people have not seen it in the.
Yeah. Sure. Fair enough. I don't see this as a spoiler thing. It's like the movie's been out for like 2 years now. I don't know where we really fall on that line.
Because here's the thing. There are certain movies and franchises that come back and people don't even realize that they have come back. Like, what was it? What did I just review the other day?
Chucky.
Yeah. And most of the people that were messaging me like on Instagram and stuff were like, when did a new Chucky movie come out? And it was like, it kind of slides through.
Yeah. Why is that though? Is it like, is there not enough promotion out there? Are you just not looking in the right places? Is Google not listening to you talk about it so you're not going to find out about it?
You might have to, actually in the comments, let us know. I don't know how to word that. I guess, how do you consume your media? Maybe that's the, but I think too,
go ahead. I don't watch a ton of TV, but I guess I go to the movies so much that I was going to the movies so much that I would just see trailers. But I got to the point with a lot of that is where I saw the same trailers so much that I stopped showing up for them. But I still found out about everything. I guess I wanted to see everything, so I was keeping in tune with it too.
Mm. Going back another conversation, Dwight says that Gundam may have been before even Voltron and Power Rangers. I just watched the thing on this. I feel like Gundam and Voltron were around the same time because it was like competing franchises. But that was back when the animation was like really crappy. But Power Rangers, Power Rangers, the thing I liked about that story is how Stan Lee tried to buy Power Rangers way back when, and Marvel said, that's stupid, don't do it. And turns out they missed out on a good thing.
What a fucking crossover that would have been, right?
Well, they had the Spider-Man show where he had like a mech suit and stuff in Japan. Yeah.
Cool.
Scrolling down. Oh, Nick's in the house. Good to see you. Nick's. All right, Lenny, how about you answer this question? Because Nick's is asking, what are we talking about? He just showed up.
A wide array of things spanning from your dating life to Alex Trebek being a fucking boss, all the way now to a serial killer who has died at least 9 times.
Yeah.
And it just keeps coming back.
Yeah, it's true. But I will second what Nick says. He says, shout out to all the creators in the room. That is correct. Andrew actually commented on the Jeopardy thing. He says, isn't Jeopardy more of a geeky thing than nerdy thing? I know I'm opening a can of worms with that one. I think you're on the right track.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But like, you can be a nerd for Jeopardy, I think, because like nerd doesn't necessarily mean you just like comic books anymore, does it? Like, I feel like you're just like nerdy about whatever little thing you want to be nerdy about, I suppose.
True. Sorry, I accidentally shut off my soundboard for a second. What was the first part of what you said? I heard the last part.
I was just saying, like I don't think that nerd is necessarily like a nerd or geek. I think you can be nerdy about Jeopardy. Like you can just be super about Jeopardy and know a bunch of weird little facts about it. And I think you're probably nerdy about Jeopardy. But if you're probably a geek, if you watch Jeopardy, I don't know.
Sure.
Or you can become a geek watching Jeopardy.
Accurate. And for those of you who just walked in, welcome to HeyArcher Live. Talks amongst yourselves in the comment section, because that's what really when people say what's the show about, it's the comment section. Whatever's happening in the comment section, that's what comes up in the show. We're already almost at the hour mark, which is crazy. Dwight says, "Hey now, I love Star Trek." Speaking of that, I actually was watching Star Trek this week and was introduced to I'm probably going to butcher it, the Orville. Is that how you say it?
Oh, yeah. Seth Green.
Seth
right?
MacFarlane.
Yeah, that's his name. Thanks. Seth Green is.
He's on the
right?
he's on the show though. Seth Green is on.
Is he? Okay, there we go.
No, on Family Guy.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Orville?
Yeah. I don't. I think I've seen an episode or two, but I have not seen a lot of it. I've heard good things. Is it still on though, or is it just like streaming somewhere?
I think because quarantine has led me down a path of Star Trek that I think watching The Orville, like I appreciated it more when I started. I mean, I'm only 2 episodes in, but I actually like really enjoyed it.
Do you watch Discovery?
No.
No.
So
what made you go with Orville over Discovery, which would be an actual Star Trek show?
I don't have the app.
Okay.
And it was recommended. The person I was watching shows with wanted to watch The Orville, so I said, all right, we'll watch The Orville.
Cool.
Joanna says, Star Trek memorabilia. I don't know. Maybe not the first time I come over. So you wanted to start off with a lie, Joanna. Let's just see what you went on there. Nick's,
Well, no, it's not a lie if you choose not to say it. Like, it's an omission, I think, at that point.
Yeah, but if it's like your place, I feel like your place is like your moment to like show off who you are.
Yeah, you can keep a little bit, like little of the cards close to the chest there, though.
Nick says, I only watched Last Child's Play because Mark Hamill voiced Chucky. Did you like The Last Child's Play? I don't remember your answer. I know we talked about it.
I definitely did. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, modern interpretation, and it made it more realistic, but still had some of that like campiness to it.
Yeah. No, and
Aubrey Plaza was good too, and I don't normally like her that much.
that was actually one of the more surprising parts of that movie. I was like, I actually enjoyed her, and she wasn't being Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, I think that's my issue with her is like that shtick is good, but like you can't do it in every single movie. Yeah. And that's what she kind of did. But yeah, that was her first like kind of full role that I've seen her do.
Did you ever watch that movie where it's like I forget the title, but it's like her and this other girl's name go west?
Yeah, it's got Ice Cube's son in it. Ingrid Goes West.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
I tried to watch it and didn't get very far into it.
That's a rough one. It is a rough movie. I finished it somehow.
Believe it.
Somehow. I don't. Whoa! Just Samson is in the house.
What?
Welcome, Just Samson. Good to see you. Wow, we're pretty much at the end of the show. Aaron says, I'm a big fan of the Star Trek reboots. Aaron, are you talking about the movie or the show that's going on? Well, the shows are not a reboot. Yeah, Discovery's not a reboot.
It was actually, and I'd asked you about Discovery, but what about Picard? Any interest in that?
I tried. Joel and I tried to watch it, and we both fell asleep multiple times in the first episode. And I think, I don't know if my opinion was skewed because I went down a rabbit hole of people reviewing that show. So yeah, I knew what was going to happen, but I was like, maybe I'll still enjoy it, even though I know like what's the end result.
Yeah.
But that first episode is super rough. And I feel like for a show that has an existing storyline and fan base, like having a rough first episode just doesn't seem like I think if you're having that, there's bigger problems.
I don't think there's a lot of good first episodes though to like TV shows because you're trying to find your footing. Like you don't really know the characters yet. Like I don't know. I guess to your point, you should know the characters in that show enough. Yeah. That, like you're like, oh, I want to know what's happening with this person or this person.
Yeah. And then also one of the complaints I saw in reviews online that in the first episode I was like, oh wow, this is really happening. Online, people were complaining that they don't respect Jean-Luc in this world. They treat him like he's just some senile old man. And I was like, I mean, he is old or whatever. But then I'm watching the show and I'm like, wow, they really do treat him like he doesn't know what's going on and like that he's some like idiot. And I'm like, but if you have watched any Star Trek, he's like one of the best captains ever. So he definitely doesn't get the respect he deserves in the first episode. I don't know if that changes, but they're definitely like shut up old man to him on that show.
It makes sense though, because the second, like I chuckled the second you were like, yeah, we tried watching it and I fell asleep because I just envisioned like his old ass on the screen talking and it was just like page line and you couldn't make it through and you're just like, oh, I'm done.
It wasn't even him though. It wasn't even him that was making it bad. It was like, he'd show up and be like, man, this, I really think that it's the water that is poisoning society. And then somebody goes, "Oh, you and your fucking hubris, you think blah blah blah, go back to retirement," and you're like, "Whoa!" First of all, you cursed on Star Trek, and second of all, he may have done a lot of things based on the movies. Maybe we should at least listen to part of what he's saying. I don't know.
Yeah, he might have a clue, just a
maybe
tiny clue.
Jumping back in real quick, Andrew says that Seth MacFarlane did a better job than Discovery.
There's our review of that.
Yeah, but one of the things I like as we wrap it up is people say that the Star Trek movies, like every I think even number movie is good, and part of that is if you include Galaxy Quest in that, it keeps that theory alive. That like every even number movie is awesome because Galaxy Quest is probably the best Star Trek movie ever.
I guess I'm not qualified enough to say that, but that is a very good movie.
Oh, well, you've watched it.
I can't speak to the rest. Yeah, I can't speak to the rest of the Star Wars. Fuck, I look like an asshole now. Huh? Star Trek lineage. I like the new ones. I couldn't necessarily get us into like Next Generation, although that's Nemesis. Who got their start on Nemesis? Tom Hardy, right?
Tom Hardy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then just wrapping it up, Rob says, "Have you ever seen The Toys That Made Us?" Yes, that's where I learned about the Power Ranger thing with Stan Lee. It was The Toys That Made Us.
You've told me to watch that. I still haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah. Andrew asked, "How do we get a sound effects when we enter the chat?" YouTube doesn't have that like Twitch does, but somebody like Mr. Sampson, because he started the whole movement of I play that whenever I see him jump in. But yes, Samson points out something, and we'll end on this. I took a lot of heat today on the show we all watched, the Income Stream, because I've not seen Ready Player One and Ready Player Two. See? So, why don't you tell the audience if you liked Ready Player One?
This is the second time this has come up this week.
Really?
Yeah. I talked about it on Monday. I never wanted to see that movie. I had no interest in seeing it in the movie theaters. Like I thought it was just going to be nostalgia the whole time. Spielberg, people are going to hate me for it, but I think he's pretty overrated outside of like his 90s stuff. And I ended up going into it, watching it, and I enjoy it. I think it's a little long, but it's a fun movie. The nostalgia is cool. Like there's definitely a lot of stuff where you're like Easter eggs popping in and out on it. But yeah, I liked it a lot. The last battle turns into like some whatever stuff. But yeah, the overall movie feels fun.
All right. Well, I added it to my list of movies to watch.
Yeah, I think, well, you're a tough critic on like stuff like that sometimes, though. I feel like you'll like it though, because you'll spot out a lot of that Easter egg stuff that I feel like you'll appreciate.
All right, that's fair. Before we leave, sir, and again, thank you for being here, and thank you all of you for being on the show. Is there anything that you need to plug, senor?
Don't have a podcast yet, but we are, as I said, work in progress. That's going to be for those with good taste. Check us out when the time comes. I'll keep you in the loop.
Yeah, that way I can promote it on here.
Thank you for having me again, though. This has been fun.
Yeah. It's funny. I brought you on because of the old UFC, but then in true HeyArcher rambling fashion, it always goes left real quick. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Again, Lenny is going to be releasing a podcast with Matt, who's in the chat, for those of good taste. So when that comes out, I will definitely show you here. Don't forget, tomorrow, Aaron Waller is doing his first live show, I think 6 p.m., trailer reactions to The Boys and some other things. Most importantly, I'll see all you nerds in the next video. Peace.
Later, guys.
More specifically, podcast.